guys, how's everybody doing? It's your boy LES. We here again, Brothers of Influence Season 2. You know, I'm excited to be here. It's been hectic. You know, I'm just remembering since the first season, once we rolled that out, and then jumping into COVID and all that. It's been crazy, but we're here again. You know, I'm here with my brothers from Season 1, you know. Got my brother Chris Dredd. What's good, bro?
Yeah, what's good? Good to see you. Long time.
Too, my brother. And I have my brother Andre. How you, man?
You know I'm here, baby.
All right. Mr. Stay Present. You know, so just a backdrop. I wanted to do this episode just like this because, you know, both of these brothers, we all from, you know, Flatbush, Brooklyn. You know what I mean? Me and Chris, we used to play ball all the time in Wingate Park going at it. You know what I mean?
Facts.
You, Marlon, and me and Barry. You feel me?
Good days.
Good days, you know what I'm saying? It's like that was just our routine at that point. You know, we go to the park with balling.
Playing in the hot sun for hours.
Playing in the hot sun, you know. My man Chris got some game, for real.
They don't know. They think I play soccer because I got dreads.
Nah, you got some game. You got some game, man. We were going at it, for real.
Yeah. Good days, bro. Good days.
Good, for real, man.
And going to school in Brooklyn, you know, just being raised in the jungle.
Word.
The real jungle. But, you know, it was fun. We got a lot of experiences and, you know, it was a good youth. Better than I feel what's going on today.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is so technological and cybernetic, but
right.
You know, I think we had a more raw, you know, the 90s was a good time to grow up, the 80s and the 90s, you know, so.
That's a fact.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so the 90s, you know what I'm saying? So I still enjoy that era, you know, I cherish that era. Especially as, you know, as time go on and you hear all the new stuff that's going on, the more you hear this new stuff, man, the more you appreciate those days. Mm-hmm. You know, it's hard to find a decent hip-hop song these days, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Bunch of stuff, but that's another topic. But
we'll get into that because that's important. You know what I'm saying?
That is very important.
Yeah. But what's good, bro?
King, I'm here, bro.
Yeah, son. Good to see you too, bro.
Yeah, man. I'm here, man. Yo, I've known Leslie since what, like high school times, 14, 15-ish.
Bro, didn't you go to Winthrop?
Yo, yeah.
Come on, man.
Me and went to junior high school. Junior high together, man.
I went to Winthrop too.
See, we all from Winthrop. See, look at it.
Yeah.
We all in the same hallway. Winthrop at 30, what's that? Winthrop at 52nd and 51st.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, come on.
Winthrop was, when we were going, that was a bad school, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, all my fellas from the 50s represent, you know, those is our brothers, but, you know, it was a rough time, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, we had our own generation of gangs. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I wouldn't say Flatbush, East Flatbush, is impoverished, so to speak, but it got a bloodline of youth that ran through there that was wild, you know what I'm saying? And respect to all of them, dead and gone, and the ones that's still here. But you know, there's some real soldiers that came out of that era, and then a transition from the Brooklyn gangs, transition into, you know, the Blood and Crip era. When we was in junior high school, going to high school, you know, I went from Winthrop to Wingate, you know, so that was an experience.
They had a gang called Top Dog.
Yeah,
I remember back in the day, man. I was on school from Winthrop-ish. That's
a lot of
Paris and Paul in them. Paris was in my class.
A lot of names that, you know, ring bells, you know, but in general, you know, we made it through, and you know, we here today, well focused and, you know, trying to just do the right thing, but. You know, a lot of soldiers came out of that era, man.
You know what's crazy, man? I think back at that a lot. And you know it's crazy that we even getting into that, because when I think about Brothers of Influence, I think about my experience, and all of what you guys are talking about right now is my experience growing up. Mm-hmm. And I remember seeing as I transitioned through the years and, like, you know, go through my journey and still being here, you know, thank God for that. You know, a lot of dudes are not here. You know, a lot of people died out in jail and all that kind of stuff. Just the other day, Chris, you was talking about another brother in the hood. I didn't know him, but I heard it, you know, the situation, which is crazy.
Yeah. Shout out to my dude, Two Step, you know, rest in peace. Yo.
R.I.P. You know, but it's like, I'm just thinking, like, man, I remember certain dudes that I see, like, you know, who's not in gangs or just living a wild lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? Like, all those brothers' lives could have simply been changed had they had like certain people in their circle to bring their mind to challenge their minds to think a little deeper than what they see.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Majority of all that stuff that took place in our community and are taking place right now is due to the lack of, you know, having the right influences, you know, in the youth's life of today. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a big fact.
Yeah.
And I could tell you because of my own experience, because I used to think one type of way, you know what I'm saying? I got in a different environment, you know, my whole mindset changed, you know. I lived in New York, moved to Houston, whole different ball game there, you know, whole different kind of energy there. And it's like night and day. And I'm like, man, that's when I saw the power of like your circle, the pond that you're in and how that affects you. You know, I get to experience that in real life because I came back a completely different person in terms of my mindset when I moved back to New York.
Yeah.
You know?
And, you know, positive reinforcements, you know.
Yeah.
Our generation went through sort of like a fatherhood genocide, you know, Section 8. You know, we're the Section 8 babies. You know, our generation, you know, the parents was definitely in the crack era in the 80s. You know, so there's a lot of things that, you know, that welfare system is a very different system when you talk about melanated community versus everybody else. So, you know, we come from an era where fathers was least prevalent in our communities. The mass incarcerations, you know, the dudes getting 10, 15 years for a nickel bag of weed. It's legal now. But, you know, imagine being taken out of the home for several decades for what's considered a slap on the wrist. You know, so this was systematically done. You know, they attacked the vulnerability of our mothers, you know, and really put them in a tight situation where they needed to depend on a system. So, you know, we live under a government that as long as you depend on the system, then you will always find issues with, you know, the community. You know, they talk about the mass incarcerations, but any environment that's impoverished and oppressed, the crime is gonna increase. Single mothers is gonna, you know, the rate of single mothers, the education, you know, lack of resources. Again, this is a major issue in our community. So,
yo, and bro, you hit all of the major points right on the head. When people see crime going on, or somebody getting shot and all of this, it's not a culture problem. It's
or a race problem.
It's not a culture or race problem. It's an economic problem.
Absolutely.
If you don't have good schools, good hospitals, a community that could help the people get ahead, the more economically impoverished you are, the more likely it is that people will resort to crime to get by.
Absolutely.
So it's never like, oh, it's because, you know, black people or Latinos was just pop out the womb and just want to commit crime. No, we are already in a disadvantaged position that we're kind of on this path, and until a lot of economic changes happen with us internally and externally with politicians and everybody, that it's always going to trend with in the criminal way. So it's I like how you brought up that it's not just a culture thing, it's an economics thing, and
absolutely
it's sad out here. And before we go, I always want to bring this up, and I always bring up the stat whenever I get a chance. America has 5% of the world prison. America has 5% of the world population, but America has 25% of the world prison population, bro. And like 40% is like a black man, bro. Like the statistics of incarceration in this country for a country that's supposed to be free is mind blowing. And listen, man, like
to put it in deeper perspective, not to cut you off, the melanated man, the Nubian man, he makes up 6% of America, but almost half of the prison inmate population. You know, this is an agenda. This is what we label the mass incarceration agenda. So people in the melanated community, and that has a wide span from, you know, what they label African American, which that's not a label I use. I don't use black or Negro. I use Moor, or, because we're Moors, or I use Nubian. Those are some of the oldest terms referred to the melanated or the brown man or whatever you want to call us. But black is not a nationality. We're not a nation. So this is how they're able to do these things. You understand? We don't know who we are.
It's a fact.
You know, so black is what you consider less of a human. They could murder us with full impunity because we are not a nation. So this is what, you know, the Asian community, they're a nation. You come here and get dealt with wrong, see the reparations they receiving right now. You understand what I'm saying? Even if it's implicated in an exaggeration type of sense, which a lot of people think the recent circumstances was exaggerated, but they already got justice. We are this country. We was here, we have the longest history in this land and beyond, all over the planet, and, you know, no justice.
So I want you to get a little deeper in that, because you said it's systematic, right? Because I think the awareness of what exactly, so translate that into like real life, like how, like what are some systematic approach that something specifically that was used or is being used to suppress, you know, the Nubian man, you know.
Progression, power, true freedom and justice. The educational system, medical science, so-called. We have an innate fear of doctors because we know what time it is. You know, they always say in our community, our men don't like to go to the doctor. You know, well, there's genetic information in our DNA that tells us something is wrong when we have to rely on, you know, a completely different community. It happens to be the community of people who has the longest history of oppressing and murdering and raping us. We have to put all our trust in them on our health when we can clearly prove and see as a history of them harming us through the guise of science and medicine. Tuskegee experiment, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You know, so again, and you know, we kind of, in my opinion, seeing remnants of that today. So with this situation that the planet is in right now. Very interesting situation.
I gotta counter you with that though. But I basically, all right, watch this. The history of America, if you're black, Latino, black or Latino mainly, a little bit Native Americans, because they went through a little bit of shit too. They went through some shit. But like a black person, because of the history, like you brought up the Tuskegee experiment, it's a very real thing that happens. So there is a medical distrust within our community and the doctors. But with the vaccine, with everything that's going on now, I feel like I'm a pro-vaccine kind of guy. Because I want people to understand that this is not just a black American pandemic, it's a global pandemic. So people in China, India, Australia, all over the world, it's like, we can't say, well, because you can't trust the American system because of what they've done to black people, because it's not just, that's a small part of it, but it's a bigger thing that's going on with this world. So just always know, I always say this, we need our own community. We need our own doctors. We need our own banks. We need our own educational system that, like right now, the big thing that's going on now is this, they want to deny race, what is it, critical race theory? Whereas, like you're not supposed to teach children that racism is a real thing. It's because what we learned in school about America is like America was perfect and they did everything right. One textbook in Texas was like, oh, some black people came here from Africa to work. Like what? Like, you know what I'm saying? And like the fact that these guys like Columbus and the Pilgrims came here and like met these nice Native Americans and they murdered and genocided and raped them. So it's like we kind of have to not really take back our history, teach our children. I don't have any children yet, but when I have kids, they're going to know right from wrong. And they're not going to go just sit in school and learn everything. I'm going to teach them the right way. I hope all of my parents teach your children the way to go. Because this world is a tricky world, and if you don't set them straight, somebody else going to set them in a direction that is not beneficial to you, your family, or your people.
Mm-hmm. Now, that's a fact. That's you hit it on the nail with that one. You know, with television and everything, and social media, and just how much is in your face and how much you can get caught up in that world, it's very sucking, you know. I mean, I have my kids right now, they can't stay off the iPad, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, yo, just the other day, you know, my son on the iPad, he looking, you know, at something, and I just saw some woman like talking some, I don't know what she was talking about, but I'm looking over at him like, yo, what are you listening to? Like, how did that even come up on your screen? Because you, last time I browsed at you, you were playing some kind of game, like. But that's how dangerous that is, you know. By just one click, you know, it's just like some wild stuff that you might not want to condone gets into your child, and it's like it has nothing to do with their friends going anywhere. They could be sitting in the comfort of their own home, and you know what I'm saying, and taking in toxic information. And
it's on us too as parents. You know what I'm saying? Because you know, there's times where we in our own devices. A lot of us got to do work. We got to manage different things, and you know, the thing that happens in modern society, the iPad becomes the temporary babysitter. You know, it keeps the kid's attention, and you know, a lot of parents rely on moments where they could hand the kid the iPad and they could do whatever they got to do. Some parents got to work from home, they on their laptop, you know, so you know, it's factors, but we have to be better parents and balancing and monitoring, you know, what's going on and what's coming in and out of not only their minds but our own. You know, it's very important, no matter how old you are on this planet, the type of things that you hear, eat, anything that you put inside has to be of high frequency, high value. You know what I'm saying? No matter what it is, you know. So that's something that we as human beings have to really practice doing well, you know what I'm saying? Really being critiqueful of what we put in, no matter if it's audio, visual, actual matter that we chew and eat. That's why it's so important that, you know, that's why I talk so much about nutrition. It's important to eat fruits and vegetables. These are the things that's undergoing photosynthesis. It literally takes nutrients, energy, and information from the sun that the sun gives, because we live in major cities and buildings and stuff like that. We don't get enough sun, we don't get enough solar power, because we're solar beings, electrical beings. You know what I'm saying? So we need to absorb as much sun as possible, but we also need to eat the foods that naturally absorb the energy and information. So if you, and I use this example all the time, very seldomly growing up in, no matter what neighborhood we in, you know what I'm saying? No matter what hood, you know, you seldomly or probably will never see a bunch of gang members on the corner sipping smoothies. You understand what I'm saying? So something happens when you eat better, you think better, you are better, you become fulfilled with love and information, and something happens. You know, if you look at there's not much vegan serial killers that you, or you know, sociopaths and murderers that you might know, unless it's some unique case. But you know, something is directly associated with poor diets and behavior. You know,
yeah, I think it's the mind. You know what I'm saying? Because when you eat clean food, your mind is clean. So you think clean thoughts. You're not scattered. You know, have you ever seen a scattered vegan?
Very seldomly are you gonna have a lifestyle where you're conscious about what you're eating, and then stab somebody 30 times. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't want to eat. You know, I'm eating salad. I'm making smoothies. You know, anytime you put an effort into or energy into doing something good for yourself, for your body, you tend to be on the line of a better human being.
Yeah.
And you know, it might be the food, but it also might just be the behavior that creates the placebo, you know, and making something real to you. You understand what I'm saying? So, you know, lifestyle choices and, you know, culture could make or break you. There's a lot of culture that we
fact.
should definitely suspend.
Yeah, we can not suspend and get rid of.
Culture is the type of culture we, so heavily interact with. Is creating our own genocide. It has.
That's a fact, and that's part of what you talk about, and I touch on that a lot. You know what I'm saying? It's like, with us culturally, you know what I'm saying? Like you're talking about, the society that we grow up is just structured for certain things to happen, crime and all that, right? That's one thing, but it's a whole pie of different things. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like we're just at a position where it's like, I personally feel that no one's gonna take interest in like our well-being. We have to take that. And the way, my personal approach to it is to get as far as I can, whatever I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? Because first, somebody needs to get in. One of the biggest problems we have is representation. We don't have anybody in the room to represent us who holds power, as much power as everybody else in the room. You know what I'm saying? So we're always outside, and the conversations, it's like, it's the community conversation, and then nobody's inside, or we don't have enough influence inside to transition that to where it needs to go to get the change that we're looking for. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot,
We have an issue. I'll say black people, we have an issue with coming together and mobilizing as a group of people with a particular agenda. Right? There's the LGBT community. So two people, okay, so Biden got, I'm a left-leaning Democrat, right? And I argue with a lot of people about Republicans and Democrats, left and right politics. And I voted for Biden, all right? Biden's in, and everybody's like, oh, Biden hasn't done much for black people yet. I'm like, all right, but he's doing things for the LGBT community and the Asian community. I'm like, all right, well, they have an agenda. They have people that come together and be like, all right, this is what we're going to do. Get these things done for us. Name me a black leader right now. You know what I'm saying?
But hold up. When it comes to Biden, whether you vote for Biden or Trump, I don't think any one of those, because those agendas, to me, none of them, in my opinion. I saw a Biden interview where, with Charlemagne, and that told me everything I need to know.
Yeah, okay.
You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I didn't think that him, whether Democrat or Trump, was going to make any difference to me, because they all, in the same category, look at Biden, So the difference to me is really like, okay, cool. It's about money.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's more about classism than anything else,
Here's the thing. People have to start to understand that we live in a country where these cameras and what these people show us on TV cannot be taken serious.
Correct.
You understand what I'm saying? We have a long history and extensive evidence on media propaganda manipulating the minds of the people. Literally down to the words programming, television programming, television programming. So at the end of the day, we have to be very critical of what we're looking at. Now, most people that study politics by now in 2021 have realized that the left and the right is controlled by even a hierarchy, whether it be through economic or something even more sinister. You understand? Most people voted for Biden because media and propaganda was so against Trump. Most of the major news outlets are Democratic. Fox deals with Trump in a more positive way. One of them Fox networks. Mm-hmm. So what you have is most of the American people is watching networks that's anti-Trump, anti-Republican. Now, when you're dealing with Republican, you're dealing with more anti-vaxxers, more people that's dealing with the church, religion, freedom within our own power. Democrats are wanting people to tell us what to do. It is what it is. They want people to show them a way, whereas Republican is more so an independent type of thinking, but a thinking that's unified under certain beliefs and dogmas.
Right.
So we have passed the stage of the offensive argument about if you voted Republican or Democrat, forget that. But I know by now, most of the people who voted for Biden did so because they have been convinced so much that Trump was such a racist, that they showed constant, voice clips of him saying what appears to be crazy things, racist things. No one can argue by now that there's more evidence and clips of Mr. Biden being racist, aggressively racist, saying aggressively racist things, you know what I'm saying? So, there's problems with both sides, if we're using our common sense, there's nothing about Biden that is remotely impressive as a president. It's an extreme embarrassment at the type of things that I've seen him say and do so far, you know what I'm saying? Even down to Kamala, it's a shit show.
But me, as a black man, we will never gain independence and freedom from the Republicans or Democrats. Straight up. We need to be liberated on our own and fuck them. However,
that's why you don't vote.
That's why I don't vote. What? But when you vote, I spent 4 hours last year, 2 hours last year voting. I voted for the platform that I feel could be a little bit more beneficial. Not necessarily saying they're going to make wholesale changes and they're going to make my community better, everything better. But I've always voted, I've always been a left-leaning Democrat person because it's they're more for socialistic things. Because left is always more for the people. Right is more for the rich individuals. So it's I've always, listen, Republicans to me are a bunch of fucktard racists. I don't like most Republicans. I don't care. I don't love Democrats, but I just don't like Republicans. So I'll always say black people and marginalized group of people, we should never look at any of them to say they're going to make wholesale changes and make our lives better. But I just do it because there's incremental changes, small ones, even if it's not that big, it's better than nothing. So when you vote, it's not about voting for who's going to be the best, because they all suck. American politics suck. American politics never care for black people. They never care for any marginalized group of people. So I just vote for one that I feel is a little bit better than the other.
I just want people to come to the phase where we understand the very occult Masonic process in we have a red and blue politics, we have a red and blue gang, we have a red and blue police light, all causing trauma, all causing death, genocide. When you keep those colors apart, there's war. When you put them together, it creates purple, being royalty, love, and all of these other great things that purple is associated with. So there's some really sick things that we're exposed to that's right under our nose. It's a very metaphysical, spiritual plane that we're living on right now. And, as melanated people, as Nubian people, as Moors, we have to start to deal with science. We have to start to deal with spirituality. We have to start to really get into the metaphysics of things. We need more mathematicians. We need more people that can break down components and really study the nutrients and what's good for our bodies. We're unique people. So we need to go even deeper. Meditation, you know what I'm saying? We really need to start to talk about teaching our children a lot of deeper things, because the where we're going requires more spiritual intelligence and emotional intelligence. Obviously without that, you can get fooled by television programming. You could get fooled by being tricked into voting for a left or a right. It makes no sense when they're both owned and controlled by something more sinister that we don't see, don't hear, is never served us. And we need to be stern about these things. It's not about belief. It's not about feelings. It's about the what is. What can we prove? What is the pathology? What has not worked? What has terrorized us as people? Have we even considered that more, police shootings was crazy when Obama was president? That's when it started. You know what I'm saying? Trayvon and beyond. Countless people got murdered under Obama. So it didn't start with Trump, bro. He came and inherited something that the first melanated man started.
I mean, listen, man, like
As president.
My thing, honestly,
I like Obama.
I stay out of politics. You know what I'm saying? Me personally, I stay out of politics. I don't even like get involved or try to, because from day one, I always was like, hey, this system, you're giving your options and you pick out of the two. To me, that doesn't, especially when the concerns that's coming from me, I have no representation in that arena to give me something to choose from. So, I mean, sometimes they give you, but that person ultimately has to bend to even get that far, like Obama, right? But, at the ending of the day, I personally, just from looking and observing, just the little things, like I feel like we can focus more on, like our community, personal community leaders, you know what I'm saying, and supporting them, because they're actually in your community. They're the ones who's fighting those concerns that you're worried about. And then they also need to hear what your concerns are within the community. Second of all, you have to care about your community, for one, right? Meaning, and I mean in a very practical sense, like you have to care about your community enough to see some BS taking place and do something about it. Don't just let somebody drop, you don't have to like be mean to a person, you know what I'm saying? But you enlighten them. You know what I'm saying? Like during COVID, right? When they had the back and forth things with the cops. I'm walking down Flatbush Avenue. They had two kids standing out front of the door. And then they have two police officers like right there. And they're like, cursing the police officers out. And then I'm just walking, I'm watching everybody observing. And it's like, it's clearly these cops are just looking for a reason, looking for them to get more aggravated to do something. So I stopped, I'm like, yo, bro, listen, man, just go in your crib, man. At the ending of the day, if shit hit the fan, you're going to jail. You feel what I'm saying? Like, you're going to jail, or you could end up a statistic. Like, you're not, like, I understand how you feel, but you're not really serving any purpose. You know what I'm saying? Go back inside and just hold your peace. You feel me? And then he looked at me, he was like, he was still cursing, but in the end, I give him a pound. He looked at me, he's like, yeah, good look. I can see that it's like, yo, bro, just him being young and like, okay, cool, this is the narrative, F the police, whatever the situation may be. That's cool and all, but that's not how you get things done. You know what I'm saying? There's a difference between being intentional and smart and thinking ahead than just like operating out of like, in that rawness. We much more, and that's the identity issues. You know what I'm saying? We're kings. You know what I'm saying? Our youth need to understand that they are kings. They were born to succeed. You know what I'm saying?
That's why you need emotional intelligence as well to teach you how to handle, situations like that. Whether it's with police or encounters with your own brothers in the street. You know what I'm saying? You need emotional intelligence not to overreact, and that's why you need the masculine and feminine principles. That's why men, need to understand the divine masculine and the divine feminine principles. You need to develop both to be well balanced. So these are the type of conversations we need to start having with the youth, really being able to get involved. And this culture has to become popular, and it needs to be televised, because that's what's really captivating our youth is when things are programming. That's how we copy information a lot better like that.
Yo, COVID changed everything, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everything, bro.
What do you mean? Like, build on that.
In terms of, man, we went through an unprecedented like global pandemic that shut the world down, and like, yo, one thing that I've learned from COVID, like I'm big into nature and my mental health. Like, I go to the park like all the time, bro. Prospect Park, go to Prospect Park, bro. Just chill. Look at the turtles. Look at the ducks. People laugh at me like you're just hanging out. I'm like, yo, this shit is cool. We got nature. We got birds there. They got like, there's a big snapping turtle there, like this big. Like I'm like hunting it like it's a Pokemon. It's like, what this pandemic told me is it's okay to take a step back and to slow down. Don't hustle, fight, grind, relax. Take a step back, work. What this taught me, I watch a lot of documentaries about there's 24 hours in a day. You need 8 hours of rest, 8 hours for work, and 8 hours for leisure. So you need to sleep, get good sleep. You need to work and be productive to feed people or like, put light and do things. But you also need to kind of like relax your brain, take it easy. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I think that's I go to I tell people, bro, if you have a nice park, if you got some woods, go hang out in the trees, go hang out in nature. Because it's like, it takes you to like a more simpler times where it's like, you're not worrying about like crazy stuff. Like, I'm just watching a turtle chill in the sun. I got no issues on earth. Another thing, like the 2020, bro, mental health, a lot of people going through mental health issues. When I wake up, I have 8 shoes to think about wearing, what shirt, a jacket, just by waking up and like thinking about what you need to do. Like, we have all of these lights, we go to the computer. Like, living in New York City is crazy. It's a great city, wonderful place, but when you live in an urban environment, it could add additional stressors that wasn't necessarily meant to be on a human being. Like, I was watching something that said, like the human brain hasn't changed in 20,000 years. It's the same brain that we had 20,000 years ago. It's like basic primate, whatever, like basic human beings, where all we did was like shit, fuck, hunt, sleep, look at the stars. But we have so much of these other things to worry about. You know what I mean? And it's like, sometimes it's good, bro. Like a lot of issues within our community is mental health. I see people walking down the street like mental health issues. I'm like, we don't got no help for nobody, but we gonna call the cop, and then the next thing he act funny, cop kill him, like Shahid Vassell. Rest in peace, Shahid Vassell. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I'm big on taking care of mental health. And COVID, when I didn't work for like, I got fired from my job in December 2019. Went to Jamaica for 2 months to chill. Unemployment was hitting. I came back up, I had a little money. And then when I'm going on interviews, COVID hit. But then everything just slowed down for me, bro. And sometimes you just need to slow it down in life. And one of the best times of my life was when COVID was hitting and I was just in the park just chilling. Because my mental health was perfect. Because I'm not worrying too much about the other stuff that I may not need to worry about. So COVID, bro, to me, COVID changed everything. My outlook on life changed big time from that little pause that we had. Like, I don't have to work. The world doesn't need to work. Relax, spend more time with your family. I call my mother all the time. My mother used to come here and we hang out and watch Jamaican old music videos. Call my dad a lot more. My cousins, them. So I like, COVID, bro, changed a lot for me, man. That's all I'm gonna say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's a fact.
Definitely.
That's a fact.
A lot of changes, came through that time for everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody perceives what COVID is their own way. I know I have my own strong beliefs on, what I studied and what I anticipated, what they told us they were going to do, so much signs, prophecies. There were books on this happening that was written decades ago. So, movies that put it out there, you know what I'm saying? 2 books, So, very important that, some of us was studying what was coming, the evidence. And, some of us stayed on top of it. We knew what to do. We knew how to, stay in high frequencies. And a lot of people started eating different. You've seen a lot of people buying plants, You know, something activated in the DNA and in the information that really started to get people's life to start to focus on, you know, deeper things and more real organic activity. So it was very interesting. A lot of bad things happened, you know, like domestic violence increased. You know, the terrible, terrible circumstance that our children are facing, dealing with this online schooling and dealing with the children who's chosen to go back to school to be stuck wearing masks 6, sometimes 9 hours a day. Really, really unbelievable that we could have a circumstance where children are deprived of oxygen, forced to breathe in their carbon dioxide for hours, which is very, very unhealthy. No phys ed, no social lunch, you know, really, really fucked up stuff, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it looks really bad. It looks really bad. It's a nightmare for me. Those things are nightmares, not, oh, the tissue isn't on the shelf no more. You know, everybody buying out tissue and weird shit. You know, just the lies that we're being told. How easy it is to fool people into believing that something that they told us is happening isn't exactly happening the way that it is. Even the vac issue, the jab issue. Usually if a jab is harmful or deadly and it harms 25 people, they pull it. But this has killed over 5,000 people or 4,000 people or something like that. And, you know, so, you know, there's a lot of questions. A lot of scientists, a lot of nurses, a lot of doctors have made hundreds and hundreds of videos warning people about the dangers of not only this pandemic, which a lot of people call scamdemic, but in particular the experimental, FDA unapproved serum mRNA, mRNA serum that creates spike proteins and is causing a lot of issues, not only in humans, adult humans, but in children. Blood clots, now they're talking about, and I'm just talking about what the television has spoke on, and, you know, scientists, doctors, they're talking about this phenomenon that, you know, people who's received the jab starting to change the bodies of people around them. You know, women are complaining about miscarriages now and blood clots and periods being changed and people getting sick. You know, so, you know, what is going on? Why are all these conversations out here? What are we seeing? Right. Another thing, a deadly virus, really? So this government can shut down the economy, but they don't invest the billions and billions of dollars that they steal to put hazard bins all over the cities? Because if there's an actual deadly pathogen, why is there masks all over the street? Why are some people using the same mask over? I know people who lend their masks to friends. Yo, let me borrow your mask. What is going on? So I'm just asking my people to question everything. Question everything. Use your common sense, which is not as common when we're programmed for years and years and years. You know, so at the end of the day, what we need to execute is the right to be an individual, the right to use our own brains, use our own spirit, the right to control the destiny of our lives and our children and our wives. But unfortunately, we don't live in a time where people want to allow us to exercise that. So there's a lot of theory. Anybody that wanted to get, you know, the jab, that's cool. You know, that's how they feel safe. A lot of people that don't want to get it, that's how they feel safe. We all still got to live and love each other. So, you know, that's no argument there. I don't have no issue with that. Everybody has control of their own fate. But the tension that it causes, you know, now you see a separation in society, you know, where, you know, very strange things are starting to happen. You know, certain segregations are starting to be created from this circumstance. So it's a very weird experience. And again, this is just all information that we can see, and, you know, things like zombie apocalypse on the CDC website. I mean, what is going on? You know, it's like, that's actually there. You know, why they're talking about that on the news, bro?
That's crazy.
So it's a very strange time.
Yeah, it's a strange time we live in. That's a fact.
The disclosure of extraterrestrials, and then now they're talking about that heavy all over the place. You know, it's a very strange, exciting time.
I'll be honest with you. That's why I stay away from the television. There's a whole bunch of wild stuff out there, But for me, I would say when it comes to COVID, like what you said, Andre, it definitely slowed things down. And in a way, it was definitely a blessing for a lot of people. Like for me, it definitely brought me back down because I believe I was one of those people where, I guess my career, quote unquote, was starting to kick off. I'm starting to do things that I always wanted to do.
Happened that I'll always say this. I tried not to outsmart a global pandemic. I'm not gonna come here and sit here like, wait a minute, I don't see right. Man, I don't know shit. I'm not a top expert in virology. I'm not a top expert in public health. I'm not none of them shit. So I'll just look at this is how I look at it. I'm fully vaccinated. Go get your vaccines. Straight up. Like at this point, like you had a chance. A lot of people who said it's all a plan and a fake government coats and conspiracy and Bill Gates. You had like a year and a half to come up with something to prove that it's all fake and bullshit, but you have not. Therefore, like let's look at listen. The vaccines came out a couple months ago. Motherfuckers can now finally go and have a good time in New York City. Oh, you can't put one and one together and to figure out because of the vaccines. So it's like I'll just say this, man. Trust science. Everyone's gonna have an opinion, but you're not going to outsmart a global pandemic. And this is not something that just affected America. So it's like, the government and the CIA, no, fuck it. This shit affected my people in Jamaica, black people everywhere on earth, bro. This was something that made me realize that like, we're so divided on like information and facts. And like most Republicans are anti-vaxxers because they don't believe facts. That's why motherfucker like Donald Trump come back and be like, oh, I lost the election. I mean, Joe Biden stole the election, but he didn't steal it. Biden won the shit, but because they don't want to believe in facts, they're gonna go with Trump. Believe facts, believe science. If you don't want to trust science,
look, I'll stop you right there, right? Because that conversation puts you inside of the pond, right?
Yeah. Let me get out of the pond.
All of the back and forwards, because right now you sound like the Democratic side who's going to counter the Republican side, and that could always... But hold on. I'll say that.
And that's the problem with politics, because you're literally associating yourself with the Democratic spiel that's on the news, right? So, for instance, the PCR test, the news and every other type of outlet has shown us that 85 to 90% of the results of the test are false positives, right? The man who created the PCR test himself, and these are the facts and evidence. The videos is all over the place. If you choose to watch it, then you might take in the information and do something with it. If you choose not to, and not listen to the evidence that is evidence, but you say it's no evidence, then obviously you won't be informed. But the man who created the PCR test, who was killed in 2019, right before the Wuhan virus broke out, he was killed. The man who created the PCR test said that he literally put out, they're going to use this test to create some global pandemic. And the test does not test accurate for viruses. It's not for that. And they used it anyway. They're using it now. They're sticking those things past your brainstem and your nose. So what I'm trying to say is that's a fact, right? So when you deal with, he's on camera saying it, you know what I'm saying? So when you deal with stuff like that, there are factors that you can go and research that will show you something is wrong with what's being told in the mainstream media. So whether you believe it or not, there's millions of people who's doing this research, millions of people who have countless evidence and proof and facts that a lot of things that they're telling us is just not true. So they've repeated this time and time again. Many different times in American history, they've done this. They've used a virus to pretty much change the scape of how the world worked, to crash economies, to do many things. So everything is not a conspiracy, no. But it doesn't mean that this isn't.
That's
you know what I'm saying?
But let me just real quick jump back on this. There's a lot of lies and misinformation out there. Remember when 5G, when the virus first started, everybody's like, oh, it's the 5G internet tower that's the dumbest shit ever heard. If you did that, you're stupid.
Why? What?
No.
What? All right. So, is there evidence that can disprove that every time we went up a G, 3 to 6 months later, there was a pandemic. So, you know, when you had SARS, when you had bird flu, all of that, 3G, 4, every time there was a G that increased based on the electrical fields in the planet that is interacting with the human body, it can make you sick. Have you ever did any research on radiation poison? Radiation poison has the same exact symptoms as the flu, the same exact symptoms, you know? So again, when you are radiated and when the body is exposed to radiation and electrical frequencies, that throws the body off. You become nauseous, you can faint, you have a fever, you have, it could create chest complications, respiratory issues. All of these things are identical to flu. Now, all of a sudden, the flu disappeared.
The flu disappeared because mad people are wearing masks, bro. So many people are wearing masks this past year. Like, the world has never seen so many people walk around, like, covered with their face. Therefore, henceforth, the flu will obviously go down. I will just say this, man. Not everything is a conspiracy. Trust science, and just know that go get vaccinated. Like, I used to argue with conspiracy theories all day about it, and every day it's something new where they get from some dude on Instagram or YouTube. Not everything you see on Instagram or YouTube is true.
I agree.
And that's all I'm gonna say, because there's so much. Like Instagram, I love Instagram for my pictures, and they're like, look at chicks with big booty and whatever. But sometimes I'm like, this is so stupid. But yet people are so gullible to believe anything. As long as you have a little bit of skepticism in your mind, you're gonna believe something, even if it don't even make any sense. So all I'm saying is, at this point, man, we we're almost in America, at least because of the vaccines. We're almost out the pandemic. Just be safe. Don't be selfish. I didn't get vaccinated for myself. I had COVID. That shit was the worst. I was like sick. I felt like I was gonna die for like a day or two. But I got out. But I got vaccinated because I don't want to be a person to carry a virus that could potentially harm a person who has a more susceptible immune system, that is more elderly.
Oh, stop right there.
So that's it.
An extensive amount of people who got the vaccine is coming down COVID positive. They still catching it.
But the amount of people who are COVID positive after taking the vaccines is so minuscule compared to the people that is actually saved. So it's a risk and reward thing.
So hold on.
So that's it, man.
So if you get the vaccine, right?
And it doesn't prevent COVID.
That was my next question. How does that affect you? Now you have the vaccine.
If it doesn't prevent COVID, this is what the science said.
It does.
But trust science. That's his motto, right? But the science is saying it does. The science, the people who's told you to take the shot, has also told you that it doesn't prevent it.
It's the same thing like if you brush your teeth properly, it doesn't prevent gum disease 100%. Because you can't guarantee it 100%. It's like if I use a condom, there's still a chance that I could get a chick pregnant or get an STD. Because nothing is 100% guaranteed. Therefore, they can't tell you it's going to prevent it 100%. So they said it's recommended to take it because it is likely to prevent it, but that doesn't mean it is going to prevent it 100%. Trust science, move forward, man. Get back to you. Bam, bam. Just fuck with y'all. But yo, bro, man, this is some good shit, man. This is some good
That's
shit.
cool. What about, because some people, it's not really affected like that.
Okay.
So if your body have a naturally immune to it, why should you have to take the vaccine?
Especially the people who claim they quote unquote caught it and body created their own defense to it. You wouldn't need it, especially if you overcame it. But again, he is someone who's pro-vax. That's that was his choice.
Listen, and that's whatever makes you feel safe. What makes me feel safe is prayers to the Most High, and I've never concerned myself with any of that. I'll be honest with you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a very spiritual person. I believe that there's a God and there's a being that I talk to and I pray to for protection. So whether I got a mask on, gloves on, because I'm not into that. I'm not into the mask. I can't breathe in a mask. I cannot put my trust in a mask. I'm damn sure not going to put my trust in some scientist somewhere about a vaccine. I don't know what's in it because
But when you drink a Heineken or you drink a Red Stripe, you don't know what's in it, but you drink it anyway, right?
That's true.
So we just can't just like be expert on this one topic.
I'm not getting too crazy with that, but the fact of the matter is, people were dying from this thing. It's not like, oh yeah, I'm taking a risk on a drink that's known for people dying from. You know
and I just threw this one stat out. I don't know. 5,000 people died from COVID vaccine, right? Ish. How many people died of COVID in the world? 500, like 600 million, 600,000 people died of COVID in America.
With false positives? With false positives. And the amount of people that was put on respirators that didn't need to be on a respirator, the amount of people that needed to be intubated, they were getting how much? $39,000 for every intubation. Every COVID positive, no matter if you had cancer, heart issues, diabetes, everybody was labeled COVID that came into the hospital, isolated, no one to help them talk for them or nothing like that. And the hospitals was raking up money. So much people were saying the hospitals was damn near empty. So again, there's evidence that you choose not to look into because of your feeling toward your dogmas, things that you believe to be real. And that's the difference between, when you have people who claim to be from one community, you have people that claim to be from another. We still all got to go to work, play, party together. And, the difference is what makes life colorful, but it's a very interesting tango, the types of conversations. Because when I hear pro-vax people and pro-Democrat, there's really no personal research. There's what the news has said, and that's it. And then, you have people who are free-spirited that really study, really read, and, watch thousands of hours of research and lectures to really figure out what's going on. So everybody has to be in control of their own destiny. So if you rely on television programming and the news and these people on TV to tell you the information, that's one thing. But I prefer myself to go and research and study and really see what they claim is pseudoscience. Why there's scientists and doctors and nurses saying these are the problems that we're seeing. Don't do this. And then there's some doctors that's saying it is. So everybody has to choose a side.
I would just say this, man. To be quite honest with you, I think amongst all of those, like you said, right? Any kind of virus has to do with like your immune system, how strong it is. Obviously, there's people who had the virus and survived, right? And they were fine, okay, without a vaccine.
99.9% survival rate.
You know what I'm saying? Survive like that. Some people didn't even show symptoms. So from a simplistic standpoint, like something where we could all touch and feel, we could all agree that, hey, look, this thing is detrimental to a certain demographic of people.
Which are, may I ask?
People who have
other issues,
health issues, the elderly, whose immune system is definitely obviously weaker.
I'll just say, but like that's why it's so important. Like it's crazy to me because it's kind of like, okay, I'm not thinking about myself, I'm fine. But I have my neighbors over there are elderly as fuck.
They have a 90.
You know what I mean? And they survived that wave, but I'm not. We could all have our opinion, but if you go to the hospitals during COVID and anyone who worked in healthcare could tell you that was a very real thing. Not listening to the news, not listening to like statistics. The healthcare workers went through some shit, like some very real shit that we could all, when you're not a part of something, you could always feel like you have an opinion and your opinion is weighted.
That's true, but look, hold on. Okay. You're right. And don't take what I'm saying as, oh yeah, I'm making light of the fact that this thing is serious and it should be taken serious. What I'm saying is, not because somebody came up with a wise idea that I'm supposed to take that serious as a solution. Because, and that's what it is, because you have empathy for, you want to be responsible in society and all that. That's great. And you feel the best way for you to do that is by taking a vaccine that they said that's supposed to prevent you lower your risk, but it's not 100%. Well, nothing really is. So technically, it gives you a feeling of, well, I did the responsible thing, right? We all want to do the responsible thing, but for me, like my system, I've never had COVID. You know what I'm saying? I thank God for that. You know what I'm saying? That's how I just look at it, period. But at the same time, it's like, am I going to go and take a vaccine? I've never had any symptoms of nothing. And I just feel like, I want to be responsible about it. I don't want to be like, even though I didn't feel like I was going to get it, that didn't mean that I was walking around, hey, no mask, hey, all up in everybody's face. You know what I'm saying? Or anything like that.
There's a video on social media of the FDA speaking at a press conference saying, the FDA will not approve this jab because if we wouldn't put it in ourselves or our families, why would we approve it? The FDA. And people still went and got it. So, again, there's evidence. The FDA did not approve it.
Well, when we live in a society...
And it's still you can still catch COVID. People are coming down with COVID after the vaccine.
It could be a random guy with a lab coat like, oh, I'm from the FDA, you should do COVID. There's mad dumb shit like that on the internet.
Nah, it wasn't.
There's so much misinformation and lies and bullshit out there that it's kind of like...
Sometimes
I watch it and I'm like, oh my God, this is fake. But like, most people don't... I could put on a fucking lab coat and say, well, I'm Dr. Gunter. I work for the CDC.
No, it was actual footage of a press conference.
But there's so much misinformation and lies out there that people don't realize that what they're watching is fake bullshit and misinformation and lies.
All right, but let's just talk about this video in particular. It's an actual press conference. You know what I'm saying? So again, there's evidence, on everywhere, that there's a lot of things that's wrong with this story here. So again, whoever makes the choice to do it or not, it is what it is. We gotta live,
It's all an individual choice.
All in all, guys, we're gonna reel it back, you know what I'm saying, out of the COVID for the most part. You know what I'm saying? The COVID happened. I mean, most of all, it had its ups and it had its downs moments, I would say the up moments or the brighter perspective is the fact that it allowed people to, a lot of us, to pretty much come down and focus on what really matters. Focus on, realign our focus to what really matters. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
A lot of us had a lot of pursuits that kind of been crazy, where it's like it allows us to come down and start to think about, well, what is really most important to me? Not what I feel at the moment. You know what I'm saying? And it allowed us to do that. So I think just operating in that frequency more on a consistent basis, can allow us to come to, at least as a people, be more aware and focus on the things that we need to focus on to build as individuals, right? Because individuals make communities. You know what I'm saying? So I think in terms of that, like you mentioned, Chris, about mental health and all that.
Yeah, facts.
And all of the, domestic abuse that's been taking place. See, a lot of people, like pre-COVID, the mindset was kind of like, you were so busy you didn't realize that your mind is off. So when you come down, it's like you're left with what's there, which is really chaos, right? And people can't handle that. People need to stay busy. And the thing about New York is, if you really want to be busy, New York can keep you busy for the rest of your life. I've been there. You know what I'm saying? Going out every single night of the week. When we used to party back in the day, you know what I'm saying? It's like constant entertainment. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. There's no shortage of restaurant, bars, lounges,
Facts, yeah.
Parks, clubs, whatever.
City that never sleep.
Literally the city that never sleeps. So at the ending of the day, I'm not surprised at how things kind of transition. If we were to have some kind of like discussion about a pandemic and how it would affect people and what would happen, I think we would all predict a lot of what's taking place. You know what I'm saying? When we really focus and think about that. But now it's like coming out of it now. How do we, how do we use that experience now to not divide? Because a lot of things happen. You know what I'm saying? That George Floyd situation, police, cops, blacks, this, that. You know, it's empowered people to get into businesses. You know what I'm saying? It shifted a lot of people's lives where, you know, that whole situation might have inspired them to get into politics or something, to have representation for us. You know what I'm saying? And it raised the awareness of a lot of the fact that there's a lot of African Americans who are doing amazing things. You know, one of the biggest things that I'm seeing now on Instagram that I can respect is black love. You know what I'm saying? Like, people getting married and being happy about that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, black families coming together. You know what I'm saying? And because that's really the path right there. You got to start with the family, right? And then build out from there. So I feel like, you know, there's a greater awareness in those avenues that I'm definitely proud to see. And I want to see a lot more of that. You know what I'm saying? I want to see before, you know how it is, you know what I'm saying? How we used, because me coming up, it was all about, you know what I'm saying? Having the different girls and all that kind of stuff. And I grow to realize that, you know what I'm saying, as I mature, is that, you know what? I have to take a step back and take a look like, you know, if I'm going to be a real king, that means I'm going to have to, you know what I'm saying? Like, I have no, you can't be a king without, you know, knowing, I guess.
You got to leave the childish things behind, bro.
You know what I'm saying? Queen look for a queen.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And queens, it's just, it definitely shifted my whole outlook on a lot of things, you know what I'm saying? To be quite honest with you. And just from that and just building, like, I learned a lot, you know, just through that. But overall, I like where this is going for, you know, the African American community. You know what I'm saying? Just being more aware. There's more entrepreneurs out there. People are branching out. People are speaking out. We're coming together. Let's continue to do that. You know, we might not agree on certain things, but let's not, like, use that, like what you said, Chris, as, like, tools to be against each other. You know what I'm saying? It's like part of maturity is pretty much hearing someone who has a different belief as you and not be offended. When you're immature, it's like, it's back and forwards. You know what I'm saying? So we just, like you said, you know, raise our awareness, you know what I'm saying, to be able to build on levels and have healthy relationships amongst our brothers. You know what I'm saying? Being able to walk up to a brother in the street and just enlighten, like, because, you know, you might walk down the street sometime and see certain things with, you know, a young person that you just think in your head, but you might not tell them. Like, you might see a blind spot. Like, let's go ahead and do that and just, like, leave a word of inspiration and just, you know what I'm saying? Like, that could do a lot for a person, you know. Why don't we start doing a lot more of that, you know, and building individually within our communities and stuff like that, and let it see how far that it pushes out from there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. But, you know, with that being said, it was a good conversation.
That's a fact.
Very needed. And, you know, this conversation has so much levels and chambers, different, you know, chambers of thought. So it's definitely something we could build on. But, you know, it was a pleasure. My brothers. You know what I'm saying?
Big up Chris.
Respect, soldier.
Mr. Dread. I've seen he's kind of popular on the internet and stuff, so, like, I've seen him around and I was like, okay, I kind of know who he is. So that's my brother. We all went to junior high school together. You see how crazy it is. It's like this world is small and weird. Yeah. It was funny because I always say this. Last year September 2019, big up to fucking Mr. Ishmael and Mr. Eduardo, the cameraman too, man. It's all love.
Facts.
But he called me that one day. Les called me. He's like, yo, I got this thing called brother. This was in September 2019. Yeah, man, just come and hang out. Come to Dumbo. I'm like, I don't want to do that. Like, why would I do? But then I went, and it was like, he got something so big going on. This is just brothers sitting down and just talking about what's on our minds that we never had the platform to do. This digital content that he got is amazing. So, man, thank you, Les. You're a king. Chris, thank you, dude.
Respect, bro.
Respect, man. Before I go, Andre Gunter. That's my full name. Look me up on LinkedIn if you want to be professional. Fuck it. Instagram, Andre Guns 2. And I have the One Love Chronicle page. It's a former travel blog. I'm trying to transition into black businesses. So at the One Love Chronicles on Instagram, Andre Guns 2 on Instagram. Thank you. Appreciate everything, man.
Respect, yo.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, so that wraps it up, guys. You know, excited about, you know, first episode of season 2. Man, you guys, I hope y'all are ready, man, because we coming. You know what I mean? Like, we going after black excellence. You know, that's the only standard. You know, we taking things to the next level. And I encourage you to do the same. You know what I'm saying? Like, anything that come to you, any ideas, like, man, you survived the pandemic. Take it and run with it, you know? Be the best you. All right? So these are my brothers. Chris Dredd, thank you for your time, my brother. Andre, thank you for your time. And there it goes, folks. You know, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. You know what I mean? Follow us. We're going to have a lot of exciting things to come in the future. Take care. Peace out.